Thank you for watching and listening to the UltraPerform show, the show about performing your best in business and life. Today we have a very special guest, Shelly Owens.
Hello. Hello.
And we look at that camera right there.
Okay.
So just look at Samantha.
Okay, I'll do that.
Shelly is a passionate entrepreneur who, after 12 years of selling real estate, decided to branch out and explore the topic of empathy. Empathy. So tell me about that. What did you mean by your 12 years you were real estate?
Yeah.
In real estate, and then?
So in real estate, I don't know if you've ever bought a home or anything. Perfect. So in that experience, it takes somebody that's going to represent you to have a lot of empathy and can put them in your shoes. And so I felt like that was kind of my superhero power, is I could just really, I'm an empath myself, and so what that means is I'm just ultra sensitive. And so I can, without you really communicating much, I can kind of pick up your feelings. So if we were to walk into the front door of a home, I could easily be like, oh, this is your home. And so as I was mentoring other agents, it was actually just, I realized that not very many agents had that same thing. So it kind of just evolved. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, you're good. I'll keep going. I noticed the camera was a little tilted. So
okay. So I just felt like that was important, not just in real estate, but in business as well. And so it just kind of grew from there. So.
Cool. So did you just stop cold turkey doing real estate?
Yeah, kind of. I wasn't expecting it at all. I was just, I was kind of thrown into it. I have a teenager that I'm raising right now that was dealing with depression and some of those things. And so, it just kind of evolved. And I realized my career was really kind of taking me away from being present with my kids. And so I just decided to start a new business and really go after what I liked.
So what did you start? What is it that you started?
Yeah, so I started a company called the Intuition Academy. It's a family-owned business with my mom, but she's just kind of in the background as like a sounding board right now. But
that's always good. It's always good to have support and team.
Yeah.
And people helping you.
I can't do it by myself for sure, so it's been really cool to have her. But so we just quit cold turkey. I felt like that was the best way. I had a little bit of a cushion that I was able to take a few months off and just kind of allow it to take its own course. And now it's really starting to shape up. And so we launched it in July and are putting together our mentors right now and putting together the curriculum. But in the last 6 months, I've been focusing on what I call the iGen. I've been reading an amazing book, and she termed it iGen, but different from the millennials. It's the kids it's like my teenager is an iGen and was raised with the internet.
So you have the X generation.
Yeah, and then I'm a millennial.
You're a millennial?
I'm a millennial.
Okay. And then where does iGen fit?
About 1995 and up. My daughter was born in 2004. And I remember when, the internet was coming out and all these things, and then the smartphone came out, and what a conscious decision it was to allow her to have it. And ever since that decision, our world just kind of flipped upside down.
Oh, wow.
And I think the reason why is they are so hyper focused on these phones, or maybe their sensitivity is getting heightened. So I'm just noticing that the youth is a lot more sensitive than maybe, Gen X's or millennials even. So the Intuition Academy is really a tool and a resource and a platform for honoring sensitivity and instead of shaming it. So seeing how that creates.
So you're saying you feel like sensitivity is shamed somehow?
Yeah.
You don't actually say shamed. So I'm trying to avoid saying shamed, but there's shame associated to sensitivity. Oh
yeah, for sure. I think I didn't realize that I was as sensitive until a couple years ago. But now I can recognize, anytime I cry all the time. I'll be surprised if we get through this interview without crying.
Okay.
But it's a superhero power, you know, but...
People cry though, it's okay, I cry.
Does it make you uncomfortable?
No. It depends. If they're crying for hours, yeah, it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Right, yeah.
But if they cry, I cry. I cry, guys.
Cool. So, yeah. See? That's what we're creating. As far as classes and all that stuff goes, that's still being created, but it's about energy. It's about how they show up, making them aware of their own vibration, and hopefully giving them some accountability of how they're showing up in the world. We decided to partner with the Every Teen Seen movement, and they do a lot of suicide awareness and are shifting into more of a leadership empowerment group. So the awareness is there with our youth,
so
you know?
they're like, okay, now we have to do something
Yeah.
for this so that you want to live.
Yeah, and find their identity, because before we started talking, we were chatting a little bit about how this generation doesn't quite identify with their masculine or their feminine. And so you're seeing more and more, and there's a difference between like maybe being bisexual and pan, or not identifying with a gender or the other. And it's not a sexual thing, it's just really understanding that they're going in and out of those different energies. So we explain a lot about that. The chakras, centers, and that's really fun. You know, the different things we can do with nature, and just different ways for them to reconnect with who they are, and ultimately find their identity and their purpose, and then empower other teens to be themselves.
How do you do that? What are some of the things you do to create that?
We're always doing live workshops all the time. So on our website, we'll do either live workshops, retreats. I'm doing a lot of corporate trainings right now, which has been really powerful in teaching all kinds of types of businesses of how to work with the younger generations. But we're just barely stepping into this youth space and doing some online courses as well. So those two ways.
Cool. Like, can you give us like a for example, what something you do to help them, just so someone
super
out
creative
there
stuff.
get some value, like what they could do at home, and bring them into you?
Yeah. So the online courses are totally different than the live courses, but we'll do like some fun creative things, like maybe it's a mandala rock, or anything that's going to kind of quiet them, you know, and allow them to connect. We teach them how to meditate. So
you said mandala rock?
Yeah,
What's
I
a
should
mandala?
explain. Have
What
you
is a
seen
mandala?
that? Or like you paint a rock,
Oh,
you know?
paint a rock like
The mandala,
like mandala?
or
Maybe
dream catchers.
Maybe let people know what a mandala is.
So,
I know what one is, but...
Yeah, mandalas are ways that a lot of people use them as a form of meditation, but like you'll see the big mandala coloring books, or... The thing that I'm finding is the most therapeutic thing is art. And so we talk them through that, and it's the first thing to get defunded in our public schools. And so it's frustrating, you know, because it's the only way I feel like they really can.
Well, it's not important.
They're just, and I don't know what kids you talk to.
I'm kidding about being not important. I'm being sarcastic.
I know, it's funny. But they, you know, it's frustrating. My kids hate school. And so it's like, that's what's been really fun, is asking the kids, what kind of school would you create if you could?
What do they say?
And it's more art, you know, and they hate math, or they hate history, they hate being talked to. They don't feel like they are being listened to, and that it's not collaborative, and so...
And they need to work with the person, not just listen. I'm that way too. I learn from experience.
Yeah.
That's probably why I do that whole thing, start where you're at and work your way up, because I want to learn from the experience. I want education and input and support, but I want to learn from the experience, because that's really how you learn, and it's really how you're going to remember.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can recite and memorize stuff, but in real life, that's not going to take you anywhere.
You're not going to keep it. Writing is a huge thing. Really, it's all about just creatively expressing themselves through any kind of modality that will, you know, resonate with them. So, yeah.
Cool. So they can go to your site, theintuitionacademy.com. What would they find there if they went there?
Well, it's still kind of basic right now, so it's not completely, it's kind of been word of mouth with the corporate trainings, but the events in the next few weeks will be all uploaded with our new mentors. The mentors are really young, between 20 and 30s. So we really wanted to attract mentors that have had a lot of life experience, yet young enough to be like a fun mentor that the youth would look up to. So those will be up in the next couple weeks. But right now, let me think of what we have up there right now. I think to do anything personal, we just have to reach out to us on the Connect.
Oh, good. Cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about our vibe affects our closest relationships. What do you mean by our vibe?
Yeah, like our vibration, so whenever when I show up into a room, you can immediately know, I think, I can easily pick up on somebody's vibe. But I know when I'm in a low vibration, I really attract those same types of people. And say in real estate, if I was at that low vibration and I started attracting the wrong clients, then it just affects my entire family, that whole dynamic. And so when I'm exercising and eating healthy and meditating and living life on purpose, then things just ease. Like I feel like it just falls into my lap. It's so easy.
Why do you think it's easy to fall out of that pattern of exercising, eating healthy, meditating? Because you do fall out of it. I mean, because the way you said it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I think you do.
I'm not putting you
yeah.
on the spot, just what you're saying.
Yeah.
And people do, because we struggle and say, oh, it's so hard to exercise.
Well,
right?
it gets easier, I think, when you realize what it's doing to your vibration. Do you know what I mean? When I know if I'm going to walk into a room and it's not a protection mechanism, but it's more important to me to make sure that I just, but like things that get me down, we've had a lot of deaths in our family the last few weeks, and so it's okay. And those would have knocked me down so hard normally a few years ago, but now that I know, I'm just able to pick it up a lot faster. So it might be a few days that I don't work out or I don't eat good, but it's a lot easier to get back up once I understand these principles.
Yeah, I notice that when I skip 2 days, I'm like,
I feel like, holy crap. Yeah.
Good. I'm gaining weight.
Yeah. Or just stretching or whatever, One little form of self-care, I think, goes a long, long way.
Well, I do videos and talk about my exercising on a extreme level. Right?
Do you?
Right, Samantha? Yeah.
Cool.
Like I'm always videoing something about it. But I notice people fall out of it, and even though I'm so dedicated to it, I notice there's some days I'm just like, I know how good I feel, how strong I feel, how much stamina and strength, and like I'm just, enthused, and then there's still times I skip it.
Right, and that's okay, I think. But it's a form of self-care, right? For you, it's probably something that just fills your bucket or whatever, and find something else that's fun. Sometimes I get bored with it. Keep it fun. I'll go do something like a total different dance class, or maybe it's not. So it's become a spiritual practice in a way. I didn't expect it to turn out that way. I was very, very much an atheist, and so it's been interesting how little synchronicities show up that I'm like, they're little miracles, so it's just kind of fun to be this observer now and watch it kind of come into flow. And so that's what those mentors are, is they really give people the tools, all of us mentors, we give them the tools to do it themselves, long term. There will be tools forever.
You were saying that you think the sensitivity is being hyper, I forget the word.
Focus. Or like it's,
because of the smartphone? How is that? How is it?
Well,
how
now,
is that happening?
Well, the fact that they're on it 24/7, and they're able to identify what they're interested in, so they're not getting what the media is shoving down their throats, or we're not. We're actually conscious about what we're going to take in, And so I think that whatever we're into, we're just getting more and more and more of that. And so, does that make sense?
So you can get really, really focused on what you want, what you like, and then you're out of balance.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, it could be out of balance in anything. Like if I went to the gym 3-4 hours a day, I'd have a great body.
They probably neglecting
I'd be out
other
of balance
things.
with other things for sure. Friendships, activities, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about like I was gonna go somewhere with that and I can't remember, but that generation of being with the phones, just the social media aspect of it and the comparison piece of it, I think without being able to disconnect, like they're losing their connection with themselves, or we are, and so I think that's why I felt so passionate about this, and why I want people to just get reconnected or give them the tools to do it, because I've been there and just was done and ready to leave. Like it just didn't, I was in this real estate world of making all this money. I could do whatever I wanted. I had a healthy family, beautiful house, all these things, but I still wasn't feeling fulfilled. I'm still looking at my phone and doing this comparison thing that somebody else has it a little bit better. And I was like, what the hell? Why am I not happy? Like I checked all the things off this list. So I just don't want people to have to get into that kind of depth, and because some of them don't make it out. And so developing those tools,
So people don't even know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? You're making money and you're complaining? Why are you complaining?
Right. Do you have a full bank? Yeah. You have all the things. And my family couldn't understand it. And, I felt really selfish. But it wasn't until I cut off the career and I stopped being so busy that I was able to get really clear on what I wanted and who I am. And I remember telling my husband, I'm like, I don't know if I should.
Sure.
Should I?
Sure. Well, no.
So Linda knows my story.
Yeah. Don't get her in trouble.
No, she won't. I'm pretty open about it, but at the time, I was being this real estate agent, and it was my identity, but there was a part of me that knew that for my daughter, I wanted to show her the way to be herself, or that giving her the permission to. But then I was like, but I don't do that. That's I'm a fraud. I'm hypocritical, and so once I was able to take a step back and figure out who I was, my husband's like, what the heck is going on? It is kind of, it is kind of a spiritual journey, I think.
It's tricky though, because a lot of people won't understand it. But then, the interesting thing that I find is that you go to a movie, it's always the story at the end. It's never about the stuff.
No.
It's always about the love interest.
The connection.
There's always a love interest. It's crazy. Like any movie you watch, there's always a love, right? Love story. Right?
Yeah.
And then they always point out that it's not about the stuff. But then here we are running around trying to get stuff, and you're judged for having more stuff or less stuff.
Yeah.
And we all know inherently that's not what makes you happy.
Right.
So what I don't understand is why is there such a contradiction to that?
I think our youth is flipping the switch on us.
You think so?
I do. I feel like this next generation is like, I don't want all the things. I saw what my parents went through when the market crashed.
Yeah.
Do you know
realize
what I mean?
So that made an impactful difference to their lives. Yeah.
So they're like, I
to
don't
adults,
need
it
this
made
huge
a
house.
huge difference. People are different since 2008.
Yeah, we had a 5,000 square foot house that we, then we went down to a 2,000 square foot, and now we're in 1,000 square feet, and that huge $2,500 payment that we had allows us to do things.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Let's travel, let's do some things, and really spend some time together, because when we had all the things, then I was gone all the time. I wasn't raising my kids, the daycare was doing that, or the connection was gone, and so I don't think they want that. That's not the future that they're planning. So
can you, I don't know if I didn't ask you if you could do this, so you can say it wouldn't work, but can you, like something you do for your clients, can you do something with me, like whatever you do?
Yeah. Okay, close your eyes.
Do I put my hands out?
No, just close your eyes. I'm going to teach you how to listen to your own intuition by telling you something true, okay? So
I feel like I'm on TV or something.
Yeah, I know, right?
I like
And you might not be able to do this, but do it when you get home.
I use my intuition all the time.
Cool. But now you'll be able to feel it in your body, okay? So take a deep breath. Take a couple deep breaths. Okay, one more. Okay. So the wall in front of you is red. Okay. And now I'm going to tell you another thing that's not true, and see if you can feel the difference in your body. So the wall in front of you is yellow. Did you feel anything different in your body? Where did you feel it?
I just felt or heard an ick.
Yeah? That's it. So that's whenever you have a question, then you can open your eyes now. But whenever you have a question about anything, no matter what it is, like for me, I'll feel like almost like a gauge in my stomach will go up and down. So I know if it's a yes, I'll be like, ah, and if it's a no, it just goes super quiet. And so I teach that with my clients when they're asking for like a job or should I work with this client. You always know.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. I actually noticed I get like when I start having negative talk and I'm starting really start bitching and complaining and I start putting myself down, I can actually feel like this side of my head start to tingle.
Interesting.
And then I'm like, okay, stop. But it's like, it's so untrue. It's like, stop.
Or will you get like chills all over your body when something feels like crazy truth? Like that's what happens to me. Like I'll get chills, but a different chill, like up my back, and it's just like a different kind of than your cold chills, So there's all kinds of different ways to tune into your body and play. Like I would do these colored cards, and I would try and guess them, the color, So there's all kinds of little things like that we can do to get people's intuition stronger. And affirmations are huge. I went to this amazing conference called CEO Space last month. I know.
I've been going since 507.
Oh,
so
507?
2007.
Oh, okay. I was like,
that's what you say in CEO Space. You say it the day, the month, and
the year. Cool. Yeah, so I just went there in December, and what I was fascinated with, I was like, is this intuition stuff going to be weird, in that space? And they were all about it. But they were talking about how quickly we are manifesting things, like almost instantly. And so to be very mindful of what we're telling ourselves. When we create these yucky things, then that we're going to create that pretty fast. And so using those daily affirmations it sounds silly, but they're real.
Well, there's so much of it. Like I've been noticing. So I've watched The Secret maybe 500 times.
Have you?
I used to have it playing. I should do it again, but I used to have it playing in the morning as I got ready and in the shower. So I don't see the whole thing at once. Sometimes I'd sit there going, "Oh yeah, I needed this." So I summon a parking spot.
Yeah.
Always,
yeah.
Almost always, like 99%.
My mom does that.
The one thing I learned was because I've been like, well, I get that I think $1 million is harder. Like I think $1 million a day is harder than getting my parking spot, obviously, because I'm not getting $1 million a day. One thing I learned is that when I get the parking spot, if I'm by myself or someone that feels like it's okay, I'll go, yeah, I got the first parking spot, yeah, and I get it more now.
Awesome.
I'm celebrating it, and I get it more now.
Well, I think that's speaking it to the like saying it out loud has a whole lot more power behind it.
But like with power, like being just excited, right?
Yeah.
And then, so I needed to play that to money to attract more money. But I noticed that I have, and I've made like $50,000 a month for a while.
Cool.
And I've had it, and I noticed that there's stories that come and go about it, right? There's like a balance of it.
Right.
Anything you could say about that, like to people, so they, because money is a big important, money and relationships, most important thing.
I think finding the core of why the money is important. That was fun at CEO Space too, because I was sitting next to this lady and she's like, I want 7 figures. And I'm like, but why? What are you going to do with that? You know, like there's got to be some kind of feeling or motivation behind it for it to show up. Like what, you know, so, and relationships, that's a whole nother ball game. I think that's shifting. I think it's kind of fun to see how women are being encouraged. You know what I mean? That whole dynamic of marriage and relationships is just completely shifting. So I think when we talk about shame around sensitivity, I think men the most. I really want to see us open up the space for men to be more vulnerable. I think women are expecting their men to be more vulnerable and to have more of a, because they don't necessarily have to give up sex or whatever anymore, because this isn't a business transaction anymore. This is an emotional contract, and so it's not about the money anymore. You know, women can do just as much as men can these days, and so I think that's gonna evolve. It'll be fun to watch to see how relationships evolve.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it on both spectrums, but it seems like it's a smaller, I don't want to get in trouble saying this, but it seems like a smaller group of women. Samantha, don't look at me like that.
I just want to know what you're saying.
A smaller group of women are empowered like that. I would like them all to be empowered like that.
Yeah.
And for it, like, because people get confused when I talk. Is he a feminist? Is he a, what is it called? The other thing? Machinist? Meganist? I don't know. Man.
Macho.
Yeah.
Macho.
I really am a feminist, but I want females to be totally.
You're probably more of a feminist than most of the women.
Is that, you get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it, but when I start talking, they tend to jump. I'm like, oh, hold on. You should get paid equally. I would love, like I was talking to a girl, I was like, that's great. How many times when I go out and buy a drink for someone, and I'm out with a female, who pays usually?
Right.
Me.
It shouldn't be that way.
They're empowered. They're like, you know, I'm like, but they don't. I mean, not very often, but it happens. Right?
I don't know. I've been married for so long. I just know being married for 10 years, and that's what I was going to ask Salenta if I should say this, but I thought I had to ask for an open relationship because I was like, I really want to be able to have kind of intimate conversations with another man and not have this like weirdness. And so I've had to kind of explore that. It wasn't sexual, but it was like, I want the permission to be myself, go out and travel by myself if I want to, you know, go for whatever job I want to, or, you know, and so I want more women to feel that. And I know they're coming out, you know, they're starting to, but it's interesting how women need like a huge group to get that confidence to go up and like just even to apply for a job. You know, there will be this list of qualifications, and a guy will go right in. Totally.
Let's see if they give it to
Yeah,
me.
just
Maybe
try
I'll
it.
win on my like charm and good looks.
But women
or
will be like,
how I talk to people for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I can't do that, but I can learn. You know.
Yeah, but a woman, I would be like, I need to go get this degree, this degree, this degree before I can even apply. And so I think it just takes more men owning their femininity, you know, and their sensitive side, and encouragement. You know, it's both sides to get women to step into their power too. So
Great. So thanks for being on the show. How can people reach out to you? I know we mentioned it earlier, but let's say it again.
yeah.
What's the best way they can get a hold of you if they'd like to work with you or hear more?
So if people go to my website, RochelleOwens.com, that is the perfect way to reach out through, like if you want to do some corporate trainings or some one-on-one. And then if you feel like the Intuition Academy would be a good fit for classes, then we're on Instagram's our favorite, and Facebook. We do a lot of Facebook Lives, and so they can catch some past stuff
Well, good.
on there.
Good, great. Thank you guys for watching and listening to the UltraPerform show. And you go by
Yes,
Shelly
thank you.
also, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please excuse the interruption, but you have a new voice message.
And next time I'll make sure that's silent. Keep your eyes and ears open for our next show, Monday at 5 o'clock. See you guys later.
See you later.
See ya.
Thank you.